Security, Nutrition and Resilience Analysis Hub. Challenges and opportunities for expanding micro-insurance coverage. Brian from International Fund for Agricultural Development. And then the next topic will be leveraging cutting-edge technologies for micro-insurance performance. That is, again, Dr. Abdi Fidar, IFRA coordinator. Lunch break, and then question and answer session after lunch. That will be followed by another round of presentation. Role of risk transfer in resilience improvement, Duncan Kyle from World Food Program. And finally, policy brief on risk transfer and micro-insurance by Dr. Abdi Fidar. That will be followed by a general discussion that takes all of us into the discussion, and then concluding remarks by a representative from IGAD. That will be the end of day one. Before I invite speakers, allow me to call Dr. Abdi Fidar, IFRA coordinator, for the welcome remarks. Dr. Abdi, you have the floor.
Good morning. I'm sure you have had your breakfast, so let me first welcome you to Nairobi, those of you who come outside Kenya or even Nairobi. I am sure you will enjoy your stay here for the coming 2-3 days, and you will have an opportunity to visit the good places, and you can also have good coffee, which may not be available in your home countries. Very nice latte. That's that one. Today we will have an opportunity to discuss exchange ideas and share our experience in terms of risk transfer, particularly focusing on micro-insurances. Therefore, as IGAD, we are trying to play a good role, coordinate what the member states and other partners are doing. And in that case, in this specific event, I would like also to thank USAID for facilitating all these programs. Before we delve into the programs, let me welcome Paul of Kenya to open the meeting officially or formally. Paul, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much, Abdi. Mine is just to welcome you to Kenya for those who are coming from outside the country, and I feel most welcome because here in Kenya we have the hospitality that is required, and that's why most tourists usually flock into Kenya to come and see what nature provides for us. For this meeting, as you are aware, the IGAD region is facing a number of challenges, and each and every country in the region is striving to build resilience of communities and also to increase the productivity and production so that we move people from the poverty levels that they are currently in. And as we do that, we find that there are a number of issues that affect us and a number of hazards. One of them is drought. We also have issues relating to floods. The region is also affected by conflicts peace and security, which also affect development and investment in the region. And also we have the pests and diseases that also suppress production and lead to high post-harvest losses. So all this always suppress livelihoods of the communities, even if we strive to build resilience and increase livelihoods. We find that the various hazards that I've mentioned suppress production and resilience of these communities. And that is why it is important for us to look for better ways, innovative ways by which we can build resilience and also reduce the effects of these hazards. And one of the methods is the risk transfer. And in Kenya also we have adopted this, and we have risk transfer mechanisms, one of them being the one for livestock insurance scheme, which is covering a number of counties, and a number of farmers are already benefiting from that. Also, we have crop insurance. Yeah, that is also covering more so the private farms. A number of private farms they are covering that, and also businesses are also insured. So it is very important that as we are going to discuss here, we are going to look at all this, and as a team, we can see how best can we benefit from the risk transfer, so that farmers do not lose everything when the various calamities strike. So with those few remarks, I wish you very fruitful discussions, and it is our hope that by the end of this meeting tomorrow, we'll have come up with ways by which we'll be able to move forward with issues relating to the risk transfer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. Please give him a round of appreciation to our guest speaker. Thanks a lot. So next will be generally about overview of the program. As Paul has been mentioning just a couple of minutes ago, risk transfer is one of the mechanisms that is being attempted to be used to reduce and curb effects of negative impacts of climate change, drought, flood, and other disasters on the livelihoods of households and communities in the region. In a region that's highly affected by natural and climate change extremes that affects and is bringing vulnerability to communities at the grassroots level and affecting the entire socio-economic and including political situation of the region. It is a region where sedentary farming, pastoral and agricultural practices do occupy the largest proportion of the source of income and opportunity for employment. And the impact on this is affecting livelihoods significantly. It's a significant source of income, source of employment, and source of livelihoods, at the same time being affected by a number of challenges, climate-driven as well as other factors. So IGAD has been, ICPAC has been trying to undertake activities to respond to such challenges and to coordinate initiatives of member states. In view of that, diagnostic study has been undertaken by IGAD, ICPAC, on the vulnerability and feasibility of microinsurance and group-based risk transfer in the IGAD region. So attempt has been made, efforts has been exerted to map out the actors, the beneficiaries, and the existing private and public institutional mechanisms for risk transfer. Because risk transfer is also, in a way, as a mechanism of expanding social protection to the most vulnerable segments of the communities in the region. So we have done so far the diagnostic study, identified and map out actors, beneficiaries, existing practice, best practice lessons and challenges. And also based on that, developed a recommendation to undertake activities in a number of aspects, like issues related to risk transfer, on the challenges of availability of data for assessing risk, the challenges of financial literacy and institutional mechanisms, regulatory framework. Challenges related to all this have been identified and developed. Based on that, we have developed a recommendation in our workshop a couple of months ago. So I see some of you were part of us on this issue while discussing this matter. So that followed by a community of practice being constituted, terms of the reference that outline the mandate and function of the community of practice have been developed. Working groups have been formed, and now the process of risk transfer and the group-based risk transfer mechanisms is under full swing. Having said that, today we have organized this regional conference once again to coordinate efforts of member states, as well as to learn from each other and to discuss and agree on the pathway for risk transfer in the region. This is in a nutshell what the IFRA-ICPAC is aspiring to attain through this activity. That said, I will call upon our partner who is also supporting this program from the very beginning, the risk transfer and microinsurance initiative of IFRA-ICPAC. Yasin Salah, Regional Resilience Specialist, USAID Kenya and East Africa. Yasin, you have the platform.
Thank you very much, Getahun, Abdifidar, and the rest of the IGAD team. Good morning, everybody, and I hope everybody had a good night and enjoying the, I presume, slightly cold Nairobi environment. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the IGAD team for inviting USAID to participate in today's session to discuss ways of exploring and implementing appropriate and context-specific risk transfer mechanism in the region. We all understand the challenges facing the region are complex and multifaceted, and addressing them requires innovative approach and collaborative effort. The Horn of Africa has been plagued by recurring crises, including droughts, floods, conflicts. Everybody talks about food insecurity that we have in the region. These challenges poses a threat to our livelihoods, and well-being of the millions of people in the region, and to a certain level, undermine the economic development. USAID works supports initiatives that enhances the resilience of critically vulnerable individuals, households, communities, and systems in the region through transformative partnership with the government agencies and development partners at the national, subnational, and regional level. To support country and regional development and growth in the region, USAID aims to increase adaptability to recurrent shocks while reducing the risk of humanitarian crisis and improving the social economic condition of vulnerable population. We work to transition communities from the recipients of emergency relief to having the capacity to prepare for and recover from shocks themselves. To achieve these goals, we work closely with, I mentioned, governments, national development partners, regional entities like IGAD, and I think a lot of mention around resilience building and sustainable initiatives. We are also very keen supporting locally led development processes by strengthening the capacities of local institutions, which are best placed to determine sustainable local solution to local problems and ensure local ownership. We are currently partnering with IGAD through our Building Resilience Market System in Cross-Border Drylands of IGAD Region program. I think Getaun Abdifidar have also mentioned on this. This program generally looks at promoting, resilience of communities through strengthening market systems, domestication of regionally harmonized policies and disaster risk management initiatives. Through our support, IGAD has formulated the risk transfer technical working group and have taken a study that assesses the viability and feasibility of establishing pastoral cooperatives, group-based risk transfer mechanism, and just to repeat what Getaun said, they have also formulated the community of practice and things are moving. With regards to the transboundary pest management, even though the two workshops are going to work in the same, USAID have been, through our supports, on the desert locust, for example, in the region, USAID has supported, different partners in terms of taking a multi-hazard approach in terms of addressing the risk of the desert locust. And this initiative has managed to avert a loss of more than 1.7 billion in terms of commercial value of cereals and the milk that could have lost. This underscores the benefits of coordinated early warning and early action approaches. We are looking forward to collaborating with IGAD and member states and other stakeholders to progress transformative risk transfer mechanism in the region. And we are looking forward to fruitful deliberation for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yassin. Yes, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Yassin. We'll have a quick introduction. My name is Getaun Kasa. I am a regional resilience analyst at IFRA ICPAC. Pleasure to meet you all. Thank you. I'll start from this direction.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Malis Elinana Were from South Sudan, Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security.
Morning, everyone. My name is Dr. James Chinian. I work with the Minister of Humanitarian and Disaster Management in the Republic of South Sudan. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Cesar Rico. I work with South Sudan Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture, and a member of Technical Working Group of IGAD in Microinsurance and Risk Transfer.
Good morning. My name is Mary Isra. I work for the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. I am a member of technical member of IGAD.
Good morning. My name is Muhyiddin Tuhami Taha. Is the head of Agriculture and Food Security, IGAD Secretariat, based in Kampala.
I repeat again, my name is Yassin Salah. I'm with the USAID Kenya East Africa Mission. I lead regional resilience work in the region. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brian Kapotwe. I'm the country program officer
for IFAD. Good morning. My name is Paul Obunde. I work with the National Drought Management Authority, Kenya. I'm also the focal point for IGAD Drought Disaster Resilience and Sustainability Initiative.
Good morning once again. My name is Abdi Fidar and I coordinate IGAD Food Security and Resilience Analysis Unit.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Muhammad Awdahir. I work for FAO as a regional senior advisor based in Addis Ababa. I also liaise FAO's work with IGAD, with the African Union, with the East African community and the rest.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Fatima Hassan Al-Tahir, Food Security Technical Secretariat, Ministry of Agriculture, Sudan. I ask God and I please ask God to save Sudan and the people of Sudan at this difficult moment. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ahmed Suleiman. I work for IGAD Climate Prediction and Application Center as a food security analyst based in Nairobi.
Good morning. I'm Alkacho Tamasgame from Ethiopia. I'm a general manager for Tla Micro Insurance Company, which is a subsidiary of Kufiya Financial Technology. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Tadessa Bakada. I'm Senior DRM Advisor in the Ethiopian Disaster Risk Management Commission, Ethiopia.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm Isaias Lama. I'm Lead Executive Officer for Crop Development at the Ministry of Agriculture and focal point for IGAD Agriculture and Food Security.
Good morning. My name is Addis Udabale from Ministry of Agriculture as a crop production expert.
Good morning. My name is Chan Lam. I'm agricultural meteorologist. I'm also a focal point for Agricultural Climate Resilience Enhancement Initiative, ICPAC.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alex Bambona. I'm from Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries from the Republic of Uganda. I'm also the focal person for food systems in my country.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Catherine Ayimsubwe. I'm the Acting Commissioner, Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Management in the Office of the Prime Minister, Uganda.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mugisha Bruce is my name. From the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Uganda.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Abdurrashid Muhammad Qasim. I am Director of Crop Production, Food Security and Extension. I work for the Ministry of Agriculture and Irrigation, Somalia. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Zain Khalif. I am Principal Advisor to the Minister of Agriculture in Somalia, member of the Technical Working Group on Microinsurance with IGAD, as well as focal point for IGAD from Somalia. Pleasure to be here with you, and I express solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Sudan.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Anahinga Kennedy, Minister of Agriculture in Nairobi, where I do agriculture insurance.
Hey everyone, my name is Lucy Sembei, working for Kenya Red Cross, Food Security and Labels Manager. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Now that everybody was standing, so let me do the same. My name is Tasfaye Besha. I'm the Regional Programming Coordinator for IGAD Drought Resilience Initiative within the Planning, Coordination and Partnership Division. I'm happy to be here with you all.
Hi, good morning. My name is Mahmoud Ahmed. I'm the Executive Director of OWS Development Fund from Ethiopia, non-state actor, so civil society organization. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is David Mondorf. I'm from UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency. I work in the regional technical coordination from the Regional Bureau for East Africa, the Horn of Africa, and the Great Lakes region. And I'm also the technical climate focal point for the region. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Duncan Khalai. I am from World Food Program, Regional Bureau here in Nairobi. I'm the Regional Advisor on Climate Risk Transfer, covering sovereign, micro, and meso-level insurance products for smallholders and also for governments. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Charity Mombua. I am a statistics specialist working for IGAD, specifically IFRA, which is the IGAD Food Security, Nutrition, and Resilience Analysis Hub. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joan Nyangoma. I work with the Agro Consortium. We do agriculture insurance in Uganda. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Barbara Olwande from IGAD, Nairobi, admin.
So let me ambush Lucy to say few words representing civil society. Lucy is from IFRC.
So good morning once again, and thanks a lot for this opportunity. I'll just be very brief to just give an overview and a few remarks on the work we are doing in Kenya and of course the region, and basically to just highlight on what we feel would be the appropriate path to take, given that the region has suffered for quite a number of years and this has become perennial, and we may want to think beyond the traditional way of doing response or tackling issues, especially around the drought that has been prevailing and perennially impacting on livelihoods and the economic and food security of the communities that are impacted. Just echoing what my colleague from USAID said, we from the Red Crescent movement are also very keen to work at building resilience and making sure that the communities that are affected by drought start to gain resilience, so that instead of constantly being in response, we can start having the communities take responsibility and start responding to their own challenges and making sure that they can become more resilient to the shocks that keep on coming whenever there are extreme climate events. And that's of course the droughts and the floods as well, because ideally it will either be one side affected by floods or the other time the same side affected by drought. And so we are very keen to make sure that we are improving on that because ideally that has a negating impact in the long term on the lives of the persons that we serve. So just making sure that whatever work we are doing contributes to making sure that the communities are able to anticipate early enough, but also to prepare for, respond to, and recover from the shocks that come with climate extremities. So maybe to just mention, like my colleague mentioned, I think it's like we kind of did this presentation together. We have climate-related disasters in the region, which are becoming quite a phenomena to deal with and to address, and also poor access to basic services, necessitated by the fact that the economic stability of the countries is, of course, quite wanting, and also challenges around political and socio-economic instability and social unrest, quite rampant in the region, and of course require a lot of attention because they have a negating impact on the economic security and also what we are working towards, in building our economic security and by and large food security and livelihoods. Again, governance crises, poor resource management, quite an issue in the region that require us to think about what we can do to tackle the same. So what opportunities or potential that do exist within the region For us, we are very keen to look at how to constantly draw lessons from the past to inform the future actions. There's quite a lot of success recorded from what actions that were done in the past. So what can we learn from the past? Like, for example, if we talk about post-harvest losses, how are our communities doing preservation? How are they tackling their harvest? And of course, going back to the basics and seeing how we can draw lessons from the same and inform how we coin our future actions in tackling the prevailing challenges of today. And again, innovation, like my colleague mentioned, we are very keen to look at how to do food security and livelihoods programming with a lot of innovation on board, because we already appreciate the fact that there's quite a lot of emerging challenges. So our usual way of tackling the challenges may not make lasting solutions. So we are very keen to see how we can then become innovative to be able to foster actions and cultures that of course become part of our day-to-day lives, but of course informed by innovation. And again, looking at how we can tackle challenges around trade barriers, both nationally but also across the borders, international standards and all that, to make sure that we can improve on how the countries are interacting and trading with each other to improve on the yields and the gains made from the investment in the field of agriculture and livestock and such. Again, making sure that we can promote appropriate actions to confront the climate crisis in the region. Very critical because again, like I mentioned, this is becoming a perennial crisis and we may need to look at how we can together tackle the challenge in a long-term way and not just in short-term response measures. So again, just looking at protecting livelihoods, which I believe it's part of what we are talking about as we talk about a risk transfer, making sure that our livelihoods are protected, enhancing early warning and early action. And for us, this has become quite an area to focus on because of the fact that we are doing quite well in matters how we are improving on early information. But to what extent does early action take place, especially at last mile? That is quite a challenge. And there are other soft factors that come into play when you think about early action. So we need to think about beyond the hardware actions that we are putting in place, and of course they're thinking about, we may need to think about how to then tackle challenges around the software bit of the same. And I'll give an example of like our country, where I come from, Kenya. We've had quite a number of droughts coming, perennially without like a break for the communities to recover from the impact of the droughts. But again, the community members do not take up early warning information to inform how they can do like early destocking and such, or to even take actions like risk transfers, which of course the country is yet to appreciate totally and to embrace. So why is that not happening? We need to tackle such challenges and such drivers, and to make sure that we can bring the community members on board and make sure that early warning information is well utilized at last mile to make a difference in how we are, of course, preparing and responding to the challenges that come as a result of the extreme weather challenges in the region. Then again, looking at how we can promote localization of response actions and initiatives, of course, like what the agenda of today is all about. Lastly, just contributing a lot more to resilience. We are very keen to make sure that we can continue scaling up the actions that we feel have had impact in the country and in the region as well. And especially looking at there are quite a number of actions that have been a success, but the impact is not as significant as would be if those were scaled up. So looking at how we can scale up our successful actions to a scale that will of course be impactful at regional level and not just within a small locality. And again, designing innovative, affordable, sustainable drought recovery actions and making sure that those are then, of course, taken to the last mile and successfully so. Lastly, exploring and promoting use of climate resilient groundwater and making sure that that can become a focus for the humanitarian actors and, of course, like the team seated in this room today. So we look forward to contributing and of course participating in the conversations and looking at how we can also scale up the agenda of risk transfer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. The next action point is the role of IGAD in promoting risk transfer mechanisms and microinsurance. Dr. Tasfaye Besha, Idrisi Program Coordinator. Dr. Tasfaye, please, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. As I introduced myself earlier, my name is Tasfaye Besha, and I indicated my role within IGAD. So let me directly go to this brief background information about the role of IGAD in promoting risk transfer, risk management mechanisms, and microinsurance, focusing on, of course, our comparative advantage. Just for the purpose of pitching the concept, risk transfer is a risk management technique whereby risk loss is transferred to another party through a contract mechanisms. So what we know is this is just a formal academic definition of it, but in practice, as you have heard from colleagues, there are different mechanisms to transfer risks, and these are some of the maybe mechanisms we'll explore as well. So this is, oh sorry, this, I just wanted to show you this or transfer it on this one. This is the same concept that I said. The risk management in agricultural and pastoral production systems. Again, just to assess the conceptual issues, agricultural and pastoral production systems are highly vulnerable to drought, severe weather, such as heavy rain, pest and disease, price shocks, and others. So insurance provides a solution to managing the severe weather risk encountered in agriculture and pastoral production systems. For example, weather index-based insurance takes the weather as index, that rainfall and temperature, so that use that as a threshold for determining the compensation. And there are different methods as well. Other forms of risks, such as price risks, have their own mechanisms for insuring. So there are different risks that we need to insure our community against losses. So with that, some theoretical framework, let me now bring you to the maybe just let's leave this out on learning and what influence our behavior and so on, to more of what IGAD has been doing and the reason for the establishment of IGAD. Maybe most of you would know that IGAD had double D. That's the Intergovernmental Authority on Drought and Development. That was the mission for IGAD to be established, which is back in 1986, to mitigate the effects of recurring severe droughts and other natural disasters that resulted in widespread famine. Particularly, this was motivated from external partners as well because of the 1984 drought. Before that, there were also, in 1970s, similar droughts were there. So the idea of the heads of states at the time and also development partners, we need to establish a regional organization that can really promote just mitigation against this desertification and related hazards. Following its revitalization in 1996, as IGAD, that is now with single D, comprehensively recognizing IGAD as an authority on development on range of issues. New divisions were also established in the course of IGAD, particularly after 1996. To mention these divisions like agriculture and environment was strengthened, peace and security because of the conflict in the region, regional economic development and social, social development, economic and social development division were established. Over time, there were also specialized centers that, as a short of the divisions that were established. For instance, ICPAC, the history of ICPAC, our team from ICPAC can tell us, it was interregional, but it just became a regional center within IGAD, and C1 starting from 2002, and ICPAL from 2012, and the Center for Countering Violent Extremism was recently established in 2017 or 2018. So basically, IGAD is just preparing the region, building institutions to really building, and this has been a long-term journey. Just to give you some more gist into this, IGAD, in collaboration with the member states and development partners, have domesticated and developed a number of policies and strategies that have positive contribution to increased productivity in the region. For example, the African Union policy framework for pastoralism in Africa, the IGAD environmental natural resource strategy, I'll talk about it shortly, and just to give you some list, IGAD Peace and Security Sector Strategy, IGAD Drought Disaster Resilience and Sustainability Initiative, I'll talk about this also in a little while, IGAD Disaster Risk Management Strategy, IGAD Blue Economy, Strategy for Sustainable and Resilient Livestock Development in view of the climate change, IGAD Regional Trade Policy, Regional Strategy on African Continental Free Trade. These are some of the recent ones. Policy Framework on Nexus between informal cross-border trade and cross-border security governance. So when we look back, because to really pave the road ahead, we need to look back, assess where we are now, so that then we really can develop appropriate pathway for our intervention. So IGAD developed its first strategy on combating desertification and environmental protection, which was adopted in 1990 here in Kenya. Over time, greater challenges emerged as a result of more economic activities, fast population growth, faster infrastructural development, and expansion of agricultural sector, which put a lot of stress on environment and its natural resource. There are always cons and cons, and there are trade-offs in development as well. So there was a need for better harmonization and coordination of strategies. Say like IGAD in collaboration with UNCCD, UNEP, and other agencies such as UNDP and UNSO formulated national action programs and sub-national action programs in the context of implementation of UNCCD. Similarly, IGAD in collaboration with NEPA developed the sub-regional environmental action plan to implement environmental component. The implementation of the above national regional action programs and sub-regional environmental action were inadequate in the face of the challenges we're facing. Consequently, the impact of those policies and strategies at national and regional levels were more or less business as usual. So it requires rethinking to address the root cause for the diminishing natural capital of the region, which are poverty, which are like poverty, frequent drought, human-induced environmental degradation. That exposed our population to various risks. As a result, IGAD produced the first IGAD environmental outlook in 2007 with the support of UNEP, with the theme Environment and Sustainable Development. So when we look back, you see, we have had a good score of activities, but we need to re-examine in a systematic way to really pave the way forward. Based on the recommendation, IGAD also developed its second environment and natural resource strategy, from there, which was replaced by the new one in 2016. Other thematic policies and strategies were also developed on water policy, biodiversity policy, protocol on environmental policy, and so on. So the question is, to what extent are these policies, strategies, protocols have been translated into action on the ground? That is probably a $1 million question. Despite all these efforts, the challenges continued. Issues such as severe degradation of the environment, which is, you are all living this situation, especially considering the past consecutive failure of rainfall seasons, which is also manifested in the form of loss of biodiversity, drying up of wetlands, and so on. So consequently, a paradigm shift was required. This is now where I would like to speak a bit about Idrissi. So as all of you may recognize, the heads of state and governments of the Horn of Africa region convened a special summit in Nairobi on 9th of September 2011, in which they made a collective decision that called for a strategy to end drought emergency while emphasizing the need to do things differently. I'm happy that one of the keynote speakers was my brother Paul Obunde from the National Drought Management Authority, the agency in Kenya that was built basically based on that motto. That was translated, was translated into regional strategy called IGAD Drought Disaster Resilience and Sustainability Initiative that has 8 priority areas, initially 7, but later on during the current and second phase of it, it has 8 priority intervention areas. I'm not going to go into those details, but I would like to mention one of the priority intervention area number 4 is disaster risk management. So that has been recognized by our heads of state, by our partners, by African Union, Commission, and so on. We are all been working towards that. But that since 2011. Then how have we fared during the last 10, 11 years? Looking back again. So we need to really start from how we performed and then again move forward. And actually, some of these risk establishing risk transfer and microinsurance, institutionalizing it and taking it to the ground to our community is the one of the measures in the right direction. So the summit also tasked IGAD with the responsibility of leading and coordinating the implementation of the initiative, which was for 15 years. Now we are in the second phase of it. Very soon we will start the midterm review, which was delayed due to resources and other logistic issues. Then that midterm review will tell us, and more lessons will come to learn from it as well. As part of Idrissi's implementation involves from the regional level, it was translated into country programming papers. Country programming papers are aligned with the national development plans. At regional level, there are regional programming. There is a regional programming paper which guides regional projects that involve 3 or more countries. Such projects were implemented, facilitated by IGAD. Resources have been mobilized. The resource mobilized up to particularly towards the end of the first phase was like 1.5, but 1.5 billion. Again, after that also we have been mobilizing lots of resources in collaboration with development partners and member states. Maybe this is now in the order of 2.5 or even 3 billion. That needs to be assessed. We need to do periodic resilience investment so that to know how much is needed given the challenges and shocks that our people face. The other project I was going to mention was this regional pastoral livelihood and resilience project funded by the World Bank, implemented in Kenya, Uganda, and Ethiopia. The other one is funded by African Development Bank, which is the Drought Resilience and Sustainable Livelihood project, which had different phases and implemented in many countries in the region. Basically, these are some of the mechanisms, but there are other regional projects which I don't want to take time to in highlighting, but just to give you some of the mechanisms. But the question is, are these enough? That's the question. So the recent project we are implementing is the offshoot of the Drought Resilience and Sustainable Livelihood Project, which we now call BREFONS, Building Resilience for Food and Nutrition Security in the Horn of Africa. It is being implemented in 5 countries. The one of Sudan was suspended because of the brewing of the conflict, which came to now what is going on. I join my brother. Our prayers are with the people of Sudan, so that our region is stabilized and the population of Sudan live with peace. This project that has three component addresses. I'm not going to highlighting the project. Addresses climate risks as a core, basically climate risk. So one of the mechanism identified was to improve index-based livestock insurance, and which is funded through this project. The other steps that IGAD has taken is in collaboration with FDB. We are working on establishing the Green Climate Fund, accessing the Green Climate Fund through the collaboration with GCF and AFDB. And this is in the making, some preliminary data collection and consultation with member states, and even member states have done consultation with private financial institutions, including insurance companies. Maybe some of you who are coming from such organization have participated in these events. If not, just take note of this and try to just watch how the development of this proposal is going on. Just briefly, what we are expecting is a fund will be transferred from the Green Climate Fund through FDB GCF Trust Fund to program countries of BREFONS. These are Djibouti, Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, Sudan, South Sudan. The Sudan one is suspended, but still in the plan though. So these countries will get access to funds through their ministries of finance. The Ministry of Finance will channel now through appropriate channels that will be actually explored and agreed upon to private financial institutions through 2 windows. One is the BREFONS direct credit window by local private financial institutions for on lending to micro, small, and medium enterprises. The other one is BREFONS credit direct insurance credit window by local private financial institutions for all lending, again, to insurance providers. So these are what we're expecting, and this is the project of around something like 150 million. The larger share of this fund is expected to go to the private financial institutions for this insurance and providing finances for micro and small and medium enterprises. On that note, I would like to thank you all.
Thank you to Dr. Tesfaye. Okay, Now, based on our program, we will have a coffee break for 25 minutes. So Barbara, you may let them. It's a coffee break. 10:30. We'll reconvene back and then continue with presentation of member states. Thank you very much.